Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Thornburg, and on April 16th, I posted a video describing parenting trap. And this particular parenting trap is teaching your baby to sleep through the night, because we know from physiology and biology that a baby's circadian rhythm starts to develop at 2 months old and is set by 6 months old. So whether you believe in God or evolution, either way, the endpoint's the same. A baby has the ability to sleep through the night. And the reason this is important is we spend a third of our life sleeping. Sleeping is hugely, hugely, hugely important. We need it to heal our immune system. We need it to recover psychologically. We need it to stay mentally alert. We need it to have good relationships. Everything is surrounded around sleep. We sleep more than we eat. So in a priority system, sleeping is more important than eating. When I explain this to parents in my practice and I say it's time to teach your baby to sleep because the whole family needs to sleep, and I have a parent that pushes back and says that doesn't feel appropriate, it feels anti-maternal because a baby needs so much love and comfort. That is very true, but not at the sacrifice of sleep. If God created this or evolution created it, it's designed to happen this way. Now, as I've stated in the video, if you can give it up as a gift and you can take on sleeplessness to allow your baby not to cry, that's wonderful, as long as it doesn't take from your physical health, mental health, relationships, then that's a wonderful gift. If it starts stealing from other parts of your life, that is no longer a gift and it needs to be readdressed. Stay clear in what you're doing. Also, for the families that decide that they're going to continue nursing the baby through the night, we have to say you're moving past a developmental milestone. And if we're going to look at raising our baby to create a path to adulthood where they become self-sufficient over time. Again, I'm not talking about a 2-month-old, 3-month-old, 4-month-old being self-sufficient, talking about the whole span of raising a child. We have to look at these markers that have been placed either by God or by evolution as very important markers. And if we're going to ignore it, then we have to acknowledge it, move past it and say, when are we going to teach our child to sleep through the night? And I just posed that question because that needs to be answered at some point. Sometimes it happens when the child's 5 or 6 years old, when the child finally decides to sleep through the night, or it happens earlier and because the parent decides, I have to put an end to this. And that's where this video comes from, because I had a parent acknowledge that they have an inability to teach their child to sleep through the night because they want to overcompensate from some trauma that happened to them in the past. So they're co-sleeping with their child and it is becoming very disruptive. Nobody's getting good sleep and they're ready for it to end and they don't know how, and they recognize the fear that they're injecting into the equation and that they're moving against what is best for the family, what is contrary to evolution, or what is contrary to the way God set all of this up. So they asked for assistance, and I want to tip my hat. I want to give this family as many accolades as I possibly can, because to see the connections and call it out is how you move through family trauma. Because if this parent doesn't do this, what they're going to do is they're going to continue to show a lack of boundaries with their child. So that child's going to grow up not in that hopeful arc of teaching a child to become a self-established adult, but instead the parent is role modeling lack of boundaries, and it's coming from fear, which when we have an emotional driver, it's really hard to move into a logical space. So here the family is understanding it's a generational trauma. They want to move through it and they're asking for help, and they asked it in the comment section. Absolutely beautiful thing. First is to acknowledge that we have some trauma from the past, recognize it. We have to forgive our parents. There's nothing we can do about what they did. Same thing with us as a parent. There's going to be things that we do as parents which we're going to be just living in anguish about, because nobody gets this right. And you have to have compassion for yourself, have to have compassion for your parents. They did the best they could with the tools they had at that time. And yes, it created some trauma. We have to forgive them, understanding that here we are as parents now, and we're going to do stupid stuff, and it's going to create trauma, and we just want to be able to put it on the table and own that action. How do we teach a baby to sleep through the night? I'm going to direct this video specifically towards this family because they were brave and they asked the question. It sounds like they have an older child, older than 6 months old. So I'm going to go ahead and just focus on sleep training a child older than 6 months old. So the first thing that's important is that there is a set bedtime. There's a set wake up time. There's a set nap time, and there's a set nap get up time. We have to live by the clock. This does not work if we don't have a rhythm. If you want to think learning a skill as being something that we have to be rather structured about, we can't go out and play tennis and grip a racket however we want and hope that we end up becoming very proficient at tennis. No, an instructor has to tell us how to grip the racket. And then when we don't hit right, the instructor is going to say, how are you gripping your racket? And you're going to see that you're off. So there has to be definite structure when you're learning the basics. Once you know how to play tennis and you're doing it very well and you're starting to play in some tournaments and you're winning, then you can start to shift your grip and modify your practice. The same thing with teaching a child to sleep through the night. At first, we have to be very structured. Once the child is sleeping through the night, then we can change and be a little bit more fluid with the day and nap times and going to bed. When we're learning, we have to be consistent. So the same bedtime, same wake up time, same nap time, same get up from nap time. And we always put the baby down awake. We don't put them down asleep, because when they wake up during the night, if we put them down asleep because we held them until they fell asleep, then they're going to need us to go back to sleep. So they have to be put down awake. Even if they fall asleep before bed, you wake them up, put them back to bed. Once they know how to sleep well and they have sleep training down, you don't have to do this anymore. This is just the learning period. You wake up the baby, put them down, and step out of the room. And because we're training a 6-month-old, if they're crying for 20 to 30 minutes, consistently crying, then we enter the room at that time, 20 to 30 minutes, and we pick them up. We don't turn on the lights. We don't say their name. We want to keep stimulation at a minimum. And we walk in, we pick up the baby, we hold them. Once they stop crying, then we set them back in the crib, because what we're doing is, in a measured way, we are helping them see, we're here for you. This is a skill set that we know biologically, physiologically that you possess. We're going to help you through the discomfort of learning a new way to live inside of the house, and we're going to support you. And we're going to do this in a very loving, structured, measured, time-tempoed way. You step out of the room. If the baby starts to cry again, you start the clock for another 20 to 30 minutes, and then you re-enter the room. If the baby falls asleep, great. Baby doesn't, then you just repeat the 20 to 30 minute, walk in, hold the baby till they quiet up, until they're calm, and then you put them back down. Minimum stimulation, repeat, repeat, repeat. If the child falls asleep right before it's time to get up, they still wake up at the wake up time, because we're living by the rhythm of life. We're not letting the child call out in an untempoed, non-responsible, doesn't understand how the world's put together kind of way. We have to live by the metronome. If you were learning to dance, you can't just go out on the dance floor and just move around because you feel like it. You have to listen to the music and move with the rhythm of the music. And the same thing here with sleeping, except the clock is the music. What you will see within 3 to 5 days, that this baby or toddler is starting to find their own sleep hygiene. They're starting to learn how to sleep on their own without your interruption. Understanding once they develop their sleep hygiene and everybody's sleeping through the night, there will be events that knock us off of our routines. And this happens to us as adults. If I go on vacation, I'm going to eat different. I'm going to exercise different. I'm going to wake up different. And when I get back off of vacation, that doesn't mean I'm just allowed to continue this kind of random approach to how I'm going to eat, sleep, exercise, and go to work. No, I have to get back to structure. Same thing when a child gets sick. If there's family in town, there's a special event, holiday happens, the baby toddler is going to get off schedule. And immediately, as soon as that disrupting event is over, we get right back on the schedule. And then the baby, just like us, the more times you get off schedule and get back on schedule, the easier it becomes. So understand the first 1 or 2 times that you get off schedule when you're doing sleep training, it might be a little bit more difficult, but the more consistent you are with getting back on sleep schedule, the better it is. So again, I want to congratulate this family for acknowledging the parenting trap. When a milestone for a child presents itself, we should acknowledge it first and hopefully move the child into that developmental stage in a nurturing way, which is sometimes, I don't want to say tough love, but an important kind of, I acknowledge that you need this skill set and you will feel better about yourself by accomplishing this skill set and mastering it. And I'm not going to put my fear about you maybe falling off a playground or skinning your knee as you learn how to ride a bike or being a little bit upset at night as we teach you to sleep train. These are just the events that happen in life. And again, we're not just letting a child cry out. This is very structured, measured. It's in line with biology. It's in line with physiology. It's in line with a divine creator, or it's in alignment with evolution. All roads lead to this conclusion. And I do acknowledge that sometimes a family has to give it as a gift and allow sleeplessness to occur for the mom or dad because they're not ready to handle the childhood trauma. But at some time, you're going to have to face this. Otherwise, you're going to push that trauma right through. And if this parent didn't own this space, this kind of overcompensation parenting would have occurred. That child would then grow up with unhealthy boundaries. And then with their own children in 20 years or whatever it is, they would have unhealthy boundaries with their kid, and the trauma continues through the generations. My hat's off to this family. Wonderful discussion, and thanks a lot.